tips about your medical records that will improve your chance of getting your Social Security disability benefits. Now, when you apply for Social Security disability benefits, the Social Security Administration is going to get a copy of your medical records and review them. They're looking for a medically determinable impairment that is based on objective testing. 2, symptoms that are consistent with that diagnosis. And 3, symptoms that are of such a severity and persistence and duration that they would result in restrictions and limitations, both physically and exertionally. So they're going to be looking at your medical records. And that process is going to continue, because if your claim gets denied, you've got to file a request for reconsideration in 60 days. If your request for reconsideration gets denied, you've got to file an appeal called a request for a hearing within 60 days. If you end up in front of the judge, a judge is going to evaluate how your symptoms actually impact your ability to do your past work and other work. They just don't want to know that you're in pain or that you're feeling fatigue. The Social Security Administration and even the judge wants to know how intense those symptoms are, how long they last, how often they occur, and more importantly, how they limit your ability to function in a full-time job. This is not just a formality. The Social Security Administration will evaluate the intensity, persistence, and limiting effects of your symptoms, and that can make or break your disability claim. So what are the factors that Social Security is going to apply? Well, they're going to consider what your daily routine looks like, what you're able to do from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed. Number 2, they want to understand where in your body you're having these pains and symptoms, how often they show up, how long they last, how strong they are when they're present, and if there are things that make your symptoms worse. They're also going to evaluate the medications you're taking. That includes what kind of medication, how much you're taking, how often, how well that medication works, and whether you have any side effects. They'll also want to understand if you're receiving other forms of treatment, such as physical therapy, injections, or using assistive devices. They're going to factor all of that in. They may want to understand whether you're using heat or ice, lying down during the day, avoiding certain tasks. But all of that really needs to be developed in your medical records and the statements that you're giving to Social Security. They really want to see it in writing from your doctor as part of your medical history and supported by forms called residual functional capacity forms. Now look, I know that your story may change over time because your medical condition may be changing over time. Social Security understands that symptoms can change from day to day. You may feel worse one day and the other, but your records need to explain those symptoms, any exacerbations, or any instances in which you've had flares. The medical records should be telling a story about your physical condition, the exertional and not exertional limitations, to prove that you can't do the lightest job you held in the 5 years before you became disabled, and why you can't do other work in the mythical, hypothetical, not real world national economy. If you have any questions, call us today at 727-894-3188 for a complimentary consultation. We look forward to helping you get the benefits you deserve.